Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel Pretty in Paper by B, where we are all about sharing the joy of pretty papers. Now for today's tutorial, I'm going to walk you through how to make your very own tree greetings card, just like this one. Now this greetings card is suitable for beginners, so even if you've never tried iris folding before, now's a good place to start. Everything you need is in the box down below, so grab your supplies, get comfy, and let's get crafting. As you can see, I've got all my supplies out ready for today's session, and the first thing that I've done is I've downloaded and printed off the tree PDF pattern download, which you can get from the link in the description. Now I'm starting with a piece of card that measures 14.85 by 14.85 centimetres, so it's square. And I'm going to put marks at the halfway points along each of the sides, which will be about 7.4 centimetres. I'm going to use these marks to create a couple of lines that will show me where the centre of the card is, and this will help make sure that the tree we're making today will be right in the middle. So when I've positioned all my marks, I'm going to join up the two on the top and the bottom with a straight line, and then join up the two marks on the left and the right with a straight line. And we should have a nice square grid. Perfect. Okay, so now to make sure that we get our tree where we want it to be, I'm just going to put a mark at about 2.5 centimetres because that's where the top of the tree is going to line up. Okay, so grab the card template from the PDF pattern download and cut out the tree shape. This is what we're going to be iris folding today, and you're going to use this as a stencil for drawing the outline onto the card base. Once you've cut out your tree shape, I want you to fold it in half, both vertically and horizontally, just so we know where the centre of this tree shape is. And we're going to use the crease lines to position our tree shape centrally to the card base, making sure we line up the lines correctly. Okay, so now we've got the creases, you're going to line up the vertical crease in the tree with the vertical line on the piece of card and the top of the tree with that little mark that we put on the card base earlier. Then grab a pencil and draw around the outside of your tree shape. Now that you've got an outline on your card base, you can use this outline to cut out your tree aperture. So place a cutting mat underneath your card and use a craft knife following the pencil line to cut out the top of your tree. Once you finish cutting out your tree aperture, you're ready to start thinking about the iris folding. So I'm going to move the cutting mat to one side because we're not going to need this anymore. We're just going to need the tree aperture. So move it out of the way. And then you're going to need to grab the tree pattern from the PDF download. And this is what we're going to use to place our paper strips. So with a couple of pieces of blue tack, place them on the back of the pattern and then secure your pattern to the table, making sure that it's not going to move throughout the iris folding process. Then you're going to do the same thing with the tree aperture that you've just cut out. So place the blue tack on the front of the tree card and then place the aperture over the top of the pattern, lining up the outline of the tree pattern with the card base. Once you've got this in place, we can start thinking about our pretty papers. So as you can see from the pattern guide, we need 5 different pretty papers for today's design. So I've got these out at the top here. And I'm going to cut out strips of each of these pretty papers, 2 or 3 of each colour, about 2 centimetres wide. And you can do this just using a pair of scissors. Once you've got all your paper strips ready, it's time to start thinking about iris folding. So you can use the pattern guide, or alternatively you can try something a little bit different with me today. Okay, so fold over the strip of your first paper colour with an edge of about 7mm wide and make sure you've got a nice crease in the paper. Then I want you to cut a section large enough to cover number 1 on the iris folding pattern, making sure the folded edge faces towards the centre of the tree, and use a couple of pieces of sticky tape to secure in place. Now you can continue following the pattern guide, or you can do something a bit different with me today. If you're doing something with me, grab a strip of your paper number 2 and repeat the same process. So fold over an edge of about 5 to 7 millimeters, cut a strip large enough to cover section number 2 and secure in place with the sticky tape again. I promise you this new idea is going to make sense shortly. Once you've done that, grab a strip of paper number 3 and use this to cover section number 3 on your tree pattern. Now for section number 4, I want you to grab a strip of the second pretty paper that we've used. So for me, it's this orange paper with the hearts on it. And we're going to use this orange paper with the hearts on to cover section number 4 on the tree. So again, cut a strip large enough to cover that section and stick in place with a couple of pieces of sticky tape. Now for section number 5, I want you to use that paper number 3 that you've chosen. So for me, the shiny orange one. I promise you it will make sense in just a second, guys. Bear with me. Okay, so when you've got your paper strip number 5 in place, now from now on it's pretty simple. You're going to move around the tree, placing 5 strips at a time, alternating between your 5 colours. So for the next 5, I'm going to use this textured orange. And then for the 5 after that, I'll use the red at the bottom. And then for the 5 after that, I go back to the yellow that I started with. And so on. Off you go, guys.
I feel free, the feeling I see. You breathe there when you hear me singing, when your dreams come true tonight. The feeling I see. You breathe there when you hear me sing.
Once you've placed the final strip of your pretty papers, you should have ended up on 5 strips of paper number 5. And once this is in place, we need to cover the iris, the hole in the centre of the tree. And for this, I'm going to use this gold glittery card. I thought it fit really nicely with the seasonal colours I've got going on here. Place face down over the hole and use a couple of pieces of sticky tape to secure in place. Once you've done that, you can turn over your iris folding and look at the result. I'm loving this alternative look we've got going on here. Okay, so for this next bit, you can use the embellishment template included in the PDF to cut out your tree trunk. Then you're just going to need a little bit of glue on the back of your tree trunk and stick this to the front of your card. And it should just complete the tree shape that we've got going on here. So once you've put your tree trunk onto the card base, your iris folding tree is ready to turn into a greetings card. So now that this is ready, I'm going to show you what to do with your tree. Okay, now you can just mount this as it is to the front of a greetings card, or alternatively you can do something a little bit different like me today. So I'm going to trim off about 1 centimetre on the left hand side of my tree using my guillotine. Now for the right hand side of the tree, I'm going to use a pair of scissors. I'm going to cut around the tree shape, leaving a border of just over 1 centimetre.
When your dreams come true tonight, breathe there when you breathe there when you breathe there when you.
Once you've finished cutting out your tree shape, I want you to create a square card base using a rectangular piece of card. I've put the measurements for this in the description. Then you're going to use some foam sticky pads to mount your tree to the front of your greetings card, lining up the left hand side of the tree with the fold in the greetings card. So place your foam pads around the edge of the tree, about 4 or 5 centimetres apart, and then peel the backs off and stick to the front.
Breathe there when you breathe there when you breathe there when you breathe there.
Okay, so now it's time to think about decorating the front of our card. Now to do this, I've made a little autumn sentiment using my Silhouette Cameo 4 cutting machine, and I'm just going to mount the front of my card using these little foam sticky pads. Just placing them along the back of the greetings, peeling the backs off again and sticking to the front. Once you've got your greetings in place, you can think about adding some autumn leaves to the front of your card. So you could use a leaf paper punch like this, or you could use a cutting machine if you've got one at home to cut some leaves out. Now I've chosen to cut them out of similar colours to the tree. In fact, I've used some of the same papers too, just to tie all those colours nicely in together. So I'm going to use my tweezers and a little bit of glue to position some of these leaves along the bottom of the tree to look like it's kind of an autumn scene where the leaves are on the ground, falling out of the tree, create a little bit of that seasonal feel to the card. So I think I've just about got enough leaves on my card now. I decided not to use the green ones. I thought I'd just keep it to these orange, yellowy, red paper colour tones. And yeah, I think we're done here, guys. So there you have it, an iris folding tree tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments.
I feel free.